Hello everyone, this is Trey again from 3D Print and Paint Figures, and today I'm doing part 3 of my Fran from beginning to end, from having nothing to printing and painting and putting my figure fully painted and ready to display on my shelf. But today I'm going to go over just taking things off the printer, off the build plate, cleaning them up, how I do it. If you can see right there, I have two covers. I have a cardboard cover that I put in over my 3D printer just to keep it warm and dark. And then the red cover that came on the 3D printer. The very first thing I do when I finish the prints is try to get the stuff off as fast as possible, even though if some of the pieces will be a lot more fragile. So I'll try to make sure I'm gentle with the pieces I don't want to break. And sometimes I do accidentally break pieces and I just glue them back together or do whatever I can do or leave them off. A lot of times if it's something small, if it's that small that it breaks very easily getting off the build plate, you're probably not going to notice it. Maybe you will, then I'll try to fix it the best I can. And then I scrape the build plate. I try to clean the build plate really well. I have another sharper scraper that I'd make sure that there's no like resin dried or cured on the build plate. And then a lot of times you'll see I'll spray it with my alcohol and rub it and clean. I'll try to clean the build plate really well because you don't want little floaters on in your resin when you go to do your next print. So I try to clean the build plate. See that I'm spraying it again. Try to clean my build plate really well so that it doesn't have any dried cured resin that gets floated around. Then it'll end up attaching with your print. It'll mess a whole print up for you. So I clean it really well. Then I stick it back on and start my next print. And then I come back over and the pieces I just got off, then I'll come back over and deal with the pieces. They can sit for a few minutes. You just can't let them sit. If they have wet resin on them, you can't let them sit for, an hour or a long time. Because even in my room, most of the time I'm doing this at nighttime. But during the day, sometimes I'll have pieces sitting there. And if you just let them sit and you just, like say I'll be in a hurry and I'll leave and I'll forget the piece sitting there for a day. If I come back, the daylight coming in through the window will cure the resin. And it'll really mess the prints up pretty bad. But the reason I try to get it off the build plate as fast as possible is because I definitely don't want any sunlight or any light, even the light from my lights in the room, to cure any of the resin that's on the build plate. Because then scraping a build plate with resin cured on it is not fun. So I try to get my pieces off the print real quickly, put the build plate back on there, put all the cover up, get the next print started and cover it as fast as possible so that the next prints come out smoothly. Then I come back over and I deal with all the pieces. My process here is I try to spray them. If there's any little holes, I'll try to spray this. The inside my spray bottle right there is 90% isopropyl alcohol. But I try to spray into the little holes if I can. Just try to get some alcohol into the holes of the prints. So then I can get my air compressor and blow into the holes and kind of blow the alcohol into the print around and clean around in the inside of it, shake it up a little bit. And then the alcohol on the outside with the toothbrush is what I use just to rub it and try to clean pieces off. I'll use my little cutters, my little flat edge cutters. I forget what those are called exactly. But just to make sure that the supports, I don't mess the print up too bad. Most places I try to put supports on. I don't really mind the print holes because it's a place you're not going to see, or it's a place that's a connection point where you just have to sand them to make sure the connections work. But I'd way rather have to sand pieces that I'm not going to see in case I mess it up or am too lazy with the sanding than a piece that, like a really important piece that's like the face, So like I have to do a little bit more work here just to make sure I don't break the print. A lot of times I'll spray with alcohol too and rub my fingers around it and try to smear the alcohol and kind of clean it with my fingers, with my gloves, obviously with the gloves on. You really don't want to do any of this without gloves on. I should probably wear a mask. I don't wear a mask a lot of times. Sometimes I do if it's starting to smell bad. But I'm in a shed outside and I can open up my 12-foot wide doors and just open them up and the windows all open, and I'll have fans blowing and windows open so that my airflow in here is really, it's almost like I'm just doing this outside. The airflow is so good. So I don't wear a mask, even though I probably still should. I rarely get it. Like, it doesn't really smell that bad usually, but sometimes it does. Sometimes I'll get alcohol smell, especially alcohol, because that stuff smells terrible. But yeah, I try to blow into the holes, try to blow out each of the holes, blow as much air as I can, circulating around inside the hollow parts of the prints so that I can clean as much of the resin on the inside out as you want to. Because you really don't want the resin to cure. You don't want resin, liquid, uncured resin inside your prints just sitting there. A few reasons. One, they'll blow up if you seal them. And two, if you don't seal the holes and there's liquid resin in there, and then you put it in a curing station or you put it outside to cure, however you cure it, the resin will leak out of the holes. Then it'll harden, and then you'll have like a weird spot where there was a hole and the resin leaked out of it and hardened. And then you'd think you could just sand it or clip it off and clean it very easily, but that is a lot harder to clean than you would think it would be. I also had my other little air compressor tip I was trying. It was a new one because it like is a lot more smooth, but then it didn't work very well at all. So I put my one I usually use back on there. This is my homemade little curing station. It's just tin foil taped inside an old Amazon box. And then I ordered from AliExpress 2 strands of UV light strips. I think they're like 3-foot strips, and they were like $1.99 each or something. And they have a sticky side. So you pull the sticky side off, you have the tin foil glued on the inside or taped on the, however you get the tin foil in there. Stick the sticky side of it. You know, I haphazardly did it, just try to get jammed as much into the box as I could. And then the top of it's just a piece of tinfoil I set over the top. There's a little turning platform I also got that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but that's supposed to turn as it turns on. But see, it's turning there. I think I help it turn a little bit every once in a while. But the UV light is supposed to make the thing turn, and then that's my little homemade curing station. There's my preset tinfoil I just set on top. And that's it. And then this is what the pieces look like after I pull them out of after they've been cured. And I have a little plastic tray that my wife got for me from Goodwill for, I think she got it half off from Goodwill, and it would have been 99 cents anyways. So paid like 50 cents for these little curing trays. It's a real super cool little separation tray. She got me like 3 of them. I was like, these little things were good for all the little pieces. So as I finish them, I kind of separate them out into their separate little compartments. They've been cured and cleaned, and the pieces look really good. I tried fitting them together. So far, even without me sanding or anything, the pieces are fitting together really well. That's pretty much it for my video. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.